What's up, guys? It's about that time of year again. I want to do another quick amp collection video. I think I've done one of these every year since 2013 maybe. But anyway, I guess a couple things have changed. I might have one new additional amp in the stable, but I'm actually selling some stuff, or I've sold stuff. I've bought and sold stuff that won't even be shown on here. But anyway, let's just go with, start with this purple Marshall JMP right here. Now, this was actually in a typical Marshall head shell like that, but for the sake of space saving and being compact, playing out, because this is the amp I use live with my band at Weapon. But this is just your typical Marshall 2204, which is the 50-watt version JMP, and it's just a great amp. Single channel. It just sounds great. I'm saying great a lot, but I just love this amp, guys. It's just a great amp. Anyway, the head shell, I think it's a Mather Cabs head shell, but like I said, it's mostly just to keep things more compact when playing out live. Instead of using a 412 live, I use two 112 cabinets now. I use Port City 112, so this works out great. Stacks right on top of them, and it's 50 very loud watts. It's a Marshall. What more can you say? Below that is my Soldano Atomic 16. This is my first nice amp. I got it probably, oh man, almost probably around 14 to 16 years ago. But it's kind of like this, except for it uses EL84s. Not nearly as much bottom end, which is kind of a bummer. So it's best used for recording, and in fact I hadn't really used that this much in I don't know how long, at least 10 years. It's kind of just sits around, but I have that, the attachment of it being my first nice amp and my grandma getting it for me. So thanks, Grandma. I love this amp. It just doesn't see as much use at the moment. You never know though. Below that, this is my Mesa Boogie dual rectifier. This is the Revision C, if you guys know about the dual rectifiers. So this is one of the first. Well, this is number 98, so it's one of the first 100 made, so it's pretty rare. Probably not an amp I'll ever sell just because of that fact, and they're getting harder to find and more expensive. I got this for $1,000 off Craigslist because we thought there was a problem with the amp, so I kind of took a risk, and it turned out just to be the tubes that were in it were the issue, even though the tubes that were in it were replaced by the previous owner to get to make sure it was good. But as far as dual rectifiers go, this is considered by most, or by some, the holy grail. I think it sounds awesome. I've owned several of the other rectifier revisions and whatever, but this is my favorite. So that's that. Oh yeah, I should have mentioned before, sorry guys, the JMP was modded with an effects loop, and it works awesome. I didn't mod it, it was just how I bought it. So let's move back on down here. But yeah, dual rectifier has that sound a lot tighter than the later dual rectifier revisions. So if you can track one of these down at a good price, go for it. Alright, let's stick at the bottom. We'll go back up top. So this is my Marshall JCM 800 reissue. This is what I use for all my videos, all my Boss videos and pedal videos for the most part, unless I say differently. This is classic. It's the 100-watt version of that, essentially, except for this is the reissue, and it has an effects loop added by Marshall, and this is loud. It's a lot louder than you will ever need at your house. So this stays here in the studio for demos, and my neighbors probably hate it. But once again, I love the 2203, 2204 series, so this is gonna stick around. Alright, moving up. What looks to be another JMP is actually a modified Marshall JMP by Dave Friedman. This is just a great sounding amp. It's sort of, if you kind of take this guy right here, and then it's kind of refine it a lot more. This is a lot less raw, a lot more refined, a lot smoother of a Marshall type tone. A lot higher gain, not like 5150 gain, but it's the equivalent of like a 2203 with a boost or something. So This has 2 channels. The clean channel also sounds great, but once again, I've kind of resigned this to the studio, you know, because it's, long story short, this guy had to be shipped to Friedman twice, so that's from where I live here in North Carolina to California. Was shipped to me here first by the original owner, then shipped to Dave, California for some repairs, shipped back to me, then it needed something else, shipped back to Dave, shipped back to me. So I figured, you know what, this thing's been, I've kind of you know, rolled the dice a few times on this guy. Might as well keep this in the studio for recording, but I use this for a lot of the last At Weapon album. Just has that great, awesome Marshall tone, but a lot smoother, like I said, which can be good or bad depending on, you know, what you want to do. And it also has, you know, a bunch of other mods on the back, but I typically just use the HBE channel and of course Great Effects Loop, although I prefer that one. Anyway, almost last but not least, this is a new edition. This is a Naylor Dual 60, essentially a super drive without the low input, which is kind of a bummer. And we're getting you get a clean channel on here, so it's a little bit more versatile. But you know, once again, this is more of like a studio thing for me. But also, if you can notice, it's the HD version, which stands for high drive, so it has a bit more gain on tap, and the gain knob's red. Not sure if that was an aftermarket thing or they did that in Naylor, but it sounds great. When I say this is a smoother Marshall, this is an even smoother version. In fact, you can kind of see my settings where I crank the presence and the treble control to get my desired volume. But it has a effects loop, so it's more of a modern amp as far as functionality. You don't see these very often, so I sort of had to snatch it up and see what all the fuss was about. But it sounds awesome. You know, for future recordings, this might be used in tandem with this guy. You know, we'll have to see. But it sounds awesome. Once again, it's the Naylor Dual 60 watts, 2 6550s, I believe. So, you know, maybe not totally Marshall, but definitely in that ballpark for sure. And then last but not least, well, maybe it is least, my diesel VH4, which is on the floor because I'm trying to sell it. Can't really afford to keep a $2,500 amp anymore. You know, I teach, so it's not like I'm rolling in the money. Regardless of all the amps I have, I just have worked really hard and saved money and over the years to acquire all these amps. And every summer I have to let a couple things go just to pay the bills because, you know, we teachers or professors, whatever, we get off over the summer, which is great, but there's, you know, very little income coming in, especially for me in my situation since I teach at a college. Don't teach private lessons outside of college. So anyway, this is a diesel VH4. I used this in conjunction with the Friedman modded Marshall for At Weapon's last album. It does sound awesome, but to be honest, it's just not really my thing. I don't need 4 channels. I'm more of a Marshall guy. It does what it does, and nothing really sounds like it. But yeah, once again, I like Marshalls. Pretty much my thing. I've learned after 32 years. Well, I've been playing guitar for not 32 years, but you know, for as long as I've been buying nice amps and trying out different amps, I've realized that I'm a Marshall guy at heart. So I don't need 4 channels. This is just like a spaceship, and I'm just driving a tractor. You know, I need a tractor. I don't need a spaceship. So anyway, this is being sold because you know I got to pay the bills. And I think the only other amp I can think of that isn't here is my old Fender Bandmaster, which never makes the videos because it's always, you know, either out of the room or something's wrong with it. So it's in the shop at the moment. But did I say Basement? I meant Bandmaster. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Thank you for being patient. I have a lot of cool stuff planned for the summer, including some live streaming. We'll see how that works. Lots more pedals to review, lots more Boss pedals to finish up with. And I appreciate you guys always watching my videos, subscribing, all that fun stuff. So until next time, we'll see you very soon.